Dr. Anthony Fauci says April could be open season for the COVID-19 vaccine, but is that realistic in Wisconsin? We check in with DHS. And vaccine disparities between black and white Americans. Wisconsin investing millions to close the gap.
A crippling snowstorm for parts of the South, but it's the extreme cold we're seeing in Wisconsin.
Live from the WMTV studios, NBC15 News at 9 on Madison CW starts now.
Taking a live look at our Capitol sky cam. I'm surprised the picture's not frozen because we are. It's another chilly night in the Badger State, but we could see some warmer weather ahead. Meteorologist Brian Dukes in our First Alert Weather Center. Brian, I think the expression light at the end of the tunnel has come up how many times this week?
Yeah, and it's finally in sight, John. I think we do talk some warmer temperatures over the next couple of days, but take it with a grain of salt. We're not talking anything that's going to be abnormally, unusually warm, but it is going to feel very nice compared to the past couple of weeks. In fact, temperatures will likely make it back to the teens tomorrow, could be into the 20s by Thursday, and could be into the 30s by the end of the weekend and early next week. We do have to get through tonight and tomorrow. We just got over a 46-hour stretch of below zero temperatures from late Saturday into earlier this afternoon. We've now had 10 nights in a row with temperatures at or below zero. We've had 10 days in a row with a temperature of 10 or below, and 11 days now with a temperature of 20 below. And check this out, 25 days in a row now with the afternoon high temperature staying at or below that 32-degree freezing mark. We're going to talk more, though, on the snow that's also making headlines, and if we'll see any, that's all coming up in just a bit.
Vaccine tracker now. Health experts say black Americans are receiving the coronavirus vaccine at much lower rates than white Americans. NBC15's Taj Mahal looked into how this impacts our local communities. Taj's state health officials are actually investing millions to help overcome this.
John, $6 million from DHS will fund a grant program aimed at vaccine equity across Wisconsin. The goal, building vaccine confidence in communities of color. I spoke to a local doctor giving perspective from both sides of the issue.
Really disproportionate numbers regarding who was impacted by COVID-19.
Higher rates of infection, hospitalizations, and death.
Out of proportion, Black Americans as well as other people of color.
Despite this, Black Americans are receiving the coronavirus vaccine at much lower rates than white Americans. Taking a look at Wisconsin's vaccine phases so far, less than 3.5% of Black Wisconsinites have gotten a COVID vaccine shot. The same goes for Hispanics.
If you look at the demographics of at least healthcare workers in Wisconsin, at least, those are predominantly white populations.
Dr. Henderson says other reasons for racial gaps include vaccine myths and historical medical mistreatment. But as vaccine eligibility grows,
how do we get the vaccines into the arms of people of color, into the community? And that will involve a lot of creativity.
As a doctor and a woman of color, I know you have gotten both of your vaccine doses, so you've completed your series.
I do.
What is your message to other maybe women of color?
Have the facts about the vaccine in terms of how safe is it, how effective is it, because there really is a lot of very well-deserved mistrust in the healthcare system.
I reached out to DHS and Public Health Madison-Dane County today. Both say they're working with community organizations to promote vaccine confidence. Today, DHS announcing that $6 million grant to promote vaccine equity. Live in the studio tonight, Taj Mahal, NBC15 News.
Let's take a look now at the latest numbers from the Wisconsin Department of Health Services dashboard. In Wisconsin, more than 240,000 people are now fully vaccinated against COVID-19. That accounts for just over 4% of our state's population. An additional 715,000 people have gotten at least one dose.
I would imagine by the time we get to April, that will be what I would call, for better wording, open season. Namely, virtually everybody and anybody in any category could start to get vaccinated.
That was less than 1 week ago. Dr. Anthony Fauci, you heard him say the U.S. could start vaccinating the general public by April. We wondered, is that realistic? In a response to an inquiry we sent last week, DHS told us today it depends on the supply. So our team reached out to multiple counties this afternoon. Let's start with Greene County. We checked in with them. They said they requested 1,000 doses. Let's see how they're doing. The supply they got was 100 today. How about Iowa County? They requested 1,200 last week, but they have 140 in supply. Rock and Columbia counties, we still have not heard from them yet. Well, NBC15's Brittany Ehrman is live in our newsroom. Brittany, regardless of the provider, everyone you spoke to says they are short of dosages.
John, I reached out to locally owned pharmacies, large hospitals in several counties, and size does not matter. Everyone is turning away patients because they simply don't have enough.
Hi, this message is for Jeff. I'm calling about his appointment on Friday.
Catching up on cancellations.
Hey, Steve, this is Thad. How are you?
Thad Schumacher spent the end of his shift making phone calls to Fitchburg Family Pharmacy patients, explaining second COVID-19 doses are on schedule, but first doses are on hold.
But we're not going to have any new doses, which means 3 weeks from now, we'll only be giving first doses.
Within the last couple of weeks, Schumacher requested 300 total doses from Wisconsin's Department of Health. He received 0.
It's kind of heartbreaking because we know that there was a whole bunch of people that were expecting us to give them vaccine, and we can't do it.
UW Health is in the same boat.
Unfortunately, our vaccine allocation for this week is the same as it was last week,
Which is not enough. Hospital officials say they're more than 50% short on doses and appointments are backed up.
We have a shared goal of making sure all of our patients, all of our community, has the opportunity to get vaccinated as quickly as possible.
Dane County public health officials say it's a universal problem. The county requested 1,950 doses from the state. They received 800.
We give all of the vaccine we receive within a week, within 100 hours.
Health officials say there's a bumpy road ahead, and providers and patients must be patient.
I also go to bed at night knowing that we've given out every single dose that we possibly can, and that's the best we can do right now.
I reached out to DHS this afternoon asking if there's a formula that determines how many doses each provider receives. I will update you once I hear back. Live in the newsroom, Brittany Ehrman, NBC15 News.
Across the U.S., nearly 53 million people have received at least their first doses of the vaccine so far. According to the CDC, more than 14 million people are fully vaccinated.
And today, we have even more reason to be hopeful of bringing the pandemic under control. Today, WHO gave emergency use listing to 2 versions of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, giving the green light for these vaccines to be rolled out globally through COVAX.
A step forward for another COVID-19 vaccine today. The World Health Organization approved AstraZeneca's vaccine for emergency use, so that allows the UN to ship millions of doses to countries worldwide. This vaccine has been praised for being cheaper and easier to distribute than other coronavirus vaccinations. And with more people getting the COVID-19 vaccine, you may be wondering, is it safe to visit someone who's been vaccinated, even if you have not yet gotten your shots? Well, the short answer is it's not clear. Doctors at UW Health say the vaccine protects most people from getting sick or developing severe symptoms, but we don't know yet whether vaccinated people can still carry and spread the virus. For now, it is best to take precautions whenever you interact with others.
There's no zero risk interaction that's going on. So there's a spectrum of risk. And from the lowest risk is that you don't have that interaction. The fewer people that you're interacting with, the more you're following the guidelines we've been following this whole time, the lower risk you're going to be in.
Healthcare.gov is now open for millions of Americans who need health insurance through the Affordable Care Act. The Biden administration launched a special enrollment period today, allowing people to obtain health insurance during the coronavirus pandemic. Now, that special enrollment period closes May 15th. President Biden signed an executive order last month intended to strengthen access to the ACA. The website is on your screen there. It is now healthcare.gov. President Joe Biden will visit the Badger State tomorrow for the live CNN broadcast of his town hall, his first official trip since being sworn in. CNN says several people in Milwaukee helped recruit the group.
And I was just really excited because I want to make sure that it was a diverse amount of questions and a diverse amount of people within the town hall.
Our partner station in Milwaukee is tracking potential protests, including groups pushing for things like a $15 minimum wage. CNN's Anderson Cooper will moderate the discussion. It's set to start at 8. Wisconsin's spring primary is tomorrow with more than 100 local races, but the two biggest, a special election for the District 13 state Senate seat and a narrowing of candidates for state superintendent. Right now there are 7. That'll be narrowed down to 2 who will move on to the next stage in after tomorrow's primary. Well, to track the status of your absentee ballot or to find your nearest polling location, visit myvote.wi.gov. Polls, remember, close tomorrow at 8 p.m. Also tomorrow, Governor Evers is expected to give his budget address. So far, we know his plan includes a proposal to allow counties and cities to collect sales tax, a proposal for small business assistance, and a proposal to legalize recreational marijuana. NBC15 will have crews monitoring all 3 major events set for tomorrow. Tonight, former President Trump is facing legal threats from around the country. The vote to acquit Trump now shifts the spotlight to ongoing criminal probes in Georgia, New York, and Washington, D.C. In Georgia, investigators have launched 2 separate inquiries. The Fulton County District Attorney opened a criminal investigation into Trump's attempts to influence the 2020 election in Georgia.
It's a very simple equation. We're going to look at the law, and we're going to look at the facts. Should we find that anyone violated the law, then we're going to make a charging decision.
It's even possible that Trump could face criminal charges for inciting the violence that erupted at the Capitol January 6th. Today, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi announced to House Democrats that she's planning to create a 9/11 type commission to take a close look at the siege on the U.S. Capitol. Tonight, still little new information from law enforcement about a Valentine's Day death at a Wisconsin Dells hotel last night. Wisconsin Dells police officers responded to a welfare check at the View Hotel, and they discovered a woman's body. NBC15 learned officers arrested 34-year-old Jeremy Mundy in Columbia County and booked him into jail on 1 count of first-degree homicide. The booking report does not list details, but the time of the offense corresponds with that welfare check. NBC15 reached out multiple times to the Columbia County Sheriff's Office and the Wisconsin Dells Police, but they would not confirm if Mundy's arrest is connected to the investigation. Still ahead on NBC15 News at 9, wolf hunt approved. The DNR says up to 200 wolves can be harvested starting next week. And caregiver concerns. Local nonprofits worry keeping their services afloat may come at too high a cost.
Another frigid night across southern Wisconsin. Your first alert forecast coming up.